Thank you. Let me give you a couple of the takeaways that I had from the trip. First of all, I was pretty skeptical going over there. I have a lot of confidence in General McChrystal and what he was able, along with General Petraeus and others, able to accomplish in Iraq. But Afghanistan is a much more challenging situation. I think we all recognize that. But I came away more hopeful from our trip. And that is because of actually being on the ground and seeing exactly what they're doing. I think that they have put together from the civilian side as well as the military side a plan that has the best chance of working. Having said that, I don't know whether it'll work, but it is certainly in our American interests that plan be carried out and given a best chance to work. Stability in the region is critical, I think, for our national security. And I think we need a great pat on the back and a shout out to our military personnel and our civilian personnel who are over there in very dangerous conditions. They are doing a fabulous job. A couple of the highlights of the trip for me not only was meeting a lot of our folks and especially folks from back in the state, but also meeting with some of the Afghans themselves and sitting down talking with them and hearing what their perspective is. And I think across the board, and this was whether it was in Afghanistan or in Pakistan, the key to defeating the Taliban is not the military. The military is a critical aspect of it, but the key is really winning the hearts and the minds of the Afghan people and in Pakistan, the Pakistani people. And that's why the clear, the hold, build strategy is so critical. And then obviously the end of that is the transfer. The reason I said I don't know whether this strategy will work is simply because that last aspect. I think that we can clear, that we can build, or we can hold, and we can build. I have complete confidence in our ability, along with our allies, to be able to do that. The challenge is then, can we transfer that to the Afghanis? And it's because they have never, they just don't have any kind of infrastructure. Iraq at least had a functioning government. Even though it was a dictatorship, they had their ministries that were functioning. And that's the biggest challenge, I think, in Afghanistan. The other takeaway that I would have from it, this is one of the policies that I disagreed with. And I don't mean to sound negative, because I think the vast majority that they're doing is right. The only question mark that I would have is our policy on the poppies. We had an eradication policy going on, and seeing what was done down in Colombia and in other parts, I think that eradication needs to be part of the strategy. I believe in the incentives, but I also think it needs to come with, if you don't take the incentives, we need to put a warning out there to the farmers, we're going to eradicate the poppy fields. When we flew over the Kandahar province, the poppies were in bloom, and it was poppy field, poppy field, poppy field. Everywhere you went, there were poppies. They were in full bloom, and they were near our bases, our forward operating bases. It was blatant. They know that we aren't doing anything about that as far as any kind of penalties. But I think that we need to change our strategy there, and that's the one place I guess I would disagree with the strategy over there. But the rest of it, I would really compliment General McChrystal and Ambassador Eikenberry and the Obama administration for the job that they're doing in Afghanistan. Real quickly on Pakistan, once again, I came away much more encouraged about that country than when I went there. I think that their civilian and military leadership gives that country a lot of hope. And is important for the United States is they're recognizing what a threat the Taliban is to their country. And in the tribal areas, we don't hear a lot about it, but they have a major military operation going against the Taliban there, and they're forcing the Taliban back into Afghanistan, which allows us to trap them when they come back into Afghanistan. And so there's more cooperation happening there, and I, hopefully that the Pakistani people, through their governmental leaders, will recognize the good that the American people are doing also for the people in Pakistan. And lastly, on that country, it is critical, once again, for the United States and our national interest that Pakistan be a stable country and that it not fall into the hands of the Taliban. So it's in our national interest in both countries to make sure that there is stability in the region. And it was a pleasure being on the trip with these guys. And our staffs did a great job, but I especially want to pay tribute to Wendy on Tom Carper's staff. She did a great job with the trip.